Alrighty, so tonight, we're going to talk about the art of receiving. So it's intertwined in all of our lives. It's intertwined with our work, with our finances, with our living situations, and almost every relationship that we have. Receiving, all intertwined. Most of us have an easier time giving than we do receive. So there's a challenge. And generally speaking, a lot of us don't trust the area of receiving. Why don't we trust that? Well, there's several reasons. We don't feel like we deserve it. A lot of times we feel if we take something, if we receive it, then we're going to have to owe the person from now on. Oh, I don't want anything because I don't want to owe anybody anything. Thinking more in terms of gratitude and being grateful and just saying thank you and allowing this person to give you this gift. So you want to ask yourself, are you more giving than you are receiving? Or are you more receiving than you are giving? Or is it more in kind of a balance? So receiving is heart opening, and it's love expanding. It's an expanding act that opens up our heart. When we allow ourselves to receive, we feel really good, and the person that's giving feels good. So the whole heart chakra opens up. We need to clear away the beliefs that limit us from receiving. For example, what I was saying earlier, I don't deserve this. This is too expensive. I don't want to take this, kind of thing. We need to look at our beliefs and see what is stopping us from receiving and just, like saying thank you. So we clear away the old wounds, the old emotional wounds. And that, again, is what I was mentioning when we give something to somebody. When we receive something from somebody and then a year later they bring it up. Well, what about, can you help me? What about all that stuff I've done for you? What about all the money I lent to you? What about this and what about that? All the things that I've done for you. That's what we remember, and that's why we're kind of like, oh, I don't want to do that. But we have to move through that. We have to clear that away so we can be open to receiving. And allow ourselves the freedom to receive. It really is a freedom when we're able to receive. So how do we practice receiving? Well, Charlie took the words right out of my mouth. Just say thank you. Right? Sometimes that's really, really hard for people to just say thank you. I remember it took time. It was a little bit of a practice for me when somebody gave me something to just say thank you. If somebody complimented my dress, to just say thank you. Instead of making a story about it, how old it was, or I got it from the Goodwill, or this is $1,000 dress somebody gave me. Just say thank you. Thank you. And give from a full heart, not from an empty space that needs recognition. So I kind of said this earlier, right? If we're giving, just give. Give from the heart without expecting anything in return. And the other thing is to become mindful of all the ways that you do receive, because you probably receive a lot more than you think you do. For example, just accepting kind words or a stranger's smile. How about being led into a stream of traffic? How many times has that happened to you? That happens to everybody. At some point, somebody lets us in, right? And so when we merge into that stream of traffic, we are receiving the fact that they're letting us in. Or even when somebody's opening the door for you, go in, say thank you. We don't have to always say, no, you go, just thank you. And you walk in, or shake your head or smile or whatever you need to do, but just receive that kindness. And then of course, the more that we receive, the easier it gets. That's with everything, right? The more we do it, the easier it gets. And then you'll be able to receive with an open heart. Because the easier it gets, the more your heart opens up. It's really nice. And then you'll be able to receive without guilt or discomfort. Those are the labels that we were talking about in the meditation. Getting rid of those labels, those beliefs that limit you, like, oh, I can't take this. This is, I would feel guilty if I took this. Just say thank you. So be okay with feeling the openness, the vulnerability that is necessary to truly receive. You can kind of like, even as I'm sitting here talking, you can kind of imagine that feeling, if somebody's giving you something, you there is a little bit of a vulnerability to that. You know, you're just going to go for it, right? Like maybe, you know, you might have a thought in your head that you say, oh, I don't want to take this because I know this person is going to come back to me, you know, in a year from now and do whatever. Maybe, and maybe not, you know. And if the person comes back to you and that actually plays out, then you deal with it then. But in the moment, just receive with an open heart and be vulnerable about it. And then have fun with it, right? Experiment. See how it feels. Just see how it feels. You know, so for all of those who are more apt to give, which is a lot of people are more apt to give, remember it wouldn't be possible if others didn't receive. You would be breaking the circle. If you always said no, you would break the circle of giving and receiving. And that's what life is about, right? Because we know how wonderful it feels. For those of us who are givers, we know how wonderful it feels to give. So let's allow the others to experience this joy by graciously receiving. That's our practice for the week. So the quote I have for today, I really, really like this quote. By Brian Tracy. I'm not familiar with him. You are, Charlie? Okay. He's a motivational speaker and self-development author. And he says, always give without remembering and always receive without forgetting. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Oh, namaste, my friends.